The darkness of space stretched endlessly, a silent sea speckled with distant stars. In this vast nothingness, the sleek vessel of the Vorthani Dominion drifted like a shadow, its black hull absorbing the faint glimmer of light. The scout ship, Velix, moved with practiced stealth, cloaked beneath layers of advanced sensor jamming and optical camouflage. Captain Yervax stood before the main viewport, his many eyes narrowing as he observed the glowing beacon far ahead. The Sol system's outer reaches shimmered in the distance, the birthplace of a species that had piqued the Dominion's interest for decades. Humans, primitive, unpredictable, and brash. To the Vorthani, they were just another species to conquer, an underdeveloped world ripe for assimilation. Energy readings are inconsistent, murmured Commander Zrathil from her console. They're unlike any fusion reactors we've catalogued. Yervax didn't turn but nodded slowly. Their technology is old, yes, but we must confirm their military capacity before the Council greenlights full invasion. The Velix crept closer, scanning the outer asteroid belt beyond Jupiter's orbit. That's when the first anomaly appeared, a ripple in the energy spectrum, subtle yet unmistakable. There, Zrathil pointed, fingers dancing over her controls. A large object, massive energy signature. The sensors resolved the shape of a colossal human warship, the UHS Indomitable, silently patrolling the outer reaches of the system. It was an intimidating sight. A titan of metal and fire, shaped for battle with angular hull plates and multiple weapon arrays, glowing faintly, with blue reactor cores. The Indomitable was unlike any human vessel the Vorthani had previously encountered. Yervax felt a rare flicker of unease. Prepare to initiate a full-spectrum scan. Cloak remains active. We do not want to alert them. The Vorthani crew worked swiftly, their multi-limbed forms orchestrating a symphony of sensor sweeps and data downloads. The Indomitable was a fortress, a mechanical beast humming with impossible power. The initial readings baffled the scientists on board the Velix. The armor shimmered as if made of liquid metal that shifted and healed itself. The energy weapons seemed to bend space, firing pulses that warped gravity fields. And most alarmingly, the ship's systems pulsed with an underlying rhythm, not mechanical but organic. Captain, there are biological signatures linked to the ship's core systems, Zrathil said, disbelief creeping into her voice. This is unprecedented. The humans are connected to their warship. Yervax frowned, his mandibles tightening. Explain. Zrathil tapped into deeper scans, peeling back layers of encrypted data. Neural interfaces, Captain. The crew isn't just operating the ship, they're integrated with it. Their thoughts and reflexes sync directly to the vessel systems through advanced neural lattice implants. A murmur ran through the bridge as the crew digested this revelation. The Indomitable was not a machine crewed by humans. It was a living war entity, a hybrid of flesh and steel. Yervax turned sharply. Is this common among humans? Not among those we've encountered before, Zrathil replied. This is new and highly advanced. The captain paced the bridge, his mind racing. The Vorthani had underestimated Earth, counting on crude fusion engines and ballistic weapons. But what they were witnessing was something else entirely. A species capable of merging biology and technology to create warships that could think and heal. Are their weapons as lethal as they appear? Yervax demanded. The tactical officer nodded grimly. More. Their pulse cannons distort gravity, fields able to crush enemy hulls from the inside out. The ship has multiple redundant AI cores and energy shields that regenerate faster than our scans can measure. Yervax's eyes narrowed. They aren't just defending themselves, they're preparing to fight like beasts cornered, and win, The Velix continued its scan. A flicker on the outer sensors caught Yervax's attention. Fleeting movement near the Indomitable. The alien ship's AI detected a subtle shift. The warship systems awakening, as if sensing an invisible presence. Alert, the AI warned. The target is powering up systems. Yervax stiffened. Pull back to a safe distance. Keep scanning but maintain cloak. I want every detail. We must know what we're facing before we proceed. The Velix began a slow retreat, its crew silent and tense. In the quiet hum of the ship, The captain's mind raced with questions. How could humans wield such power? How many more secrets were hidden beneath the surface of their seemingly fragile civilization? Above them all, the Indomitable floated, a sleeping giant awakening. It had no idea it had just changed the course of a galaxy's fate, and the Vorthani, Dominion, had no idea the storm they were about to unleash. The Velix drifted away from the Indomitable, its sensors locked tight on the warship's enigmatic hull. Data streams poured into the Vorthani consoles, streams thick with mystery, each packet revealing more than expected and less than understood. The alien crew, once confident of a swift conquest, now found themselves tangled in confusion. Commander. Zrathiel paced the bridge, antennae twitching in thought. Captain, their armor. It's unlike anything recorded in the Dominion's archives. Molecular rearrangement on the fly. The hull repairs itself instantly. Self-healing? Irvax's voice was low, tinged with disbelief. We've heard of bioorganic hybrids before, but never this level of sophistication. Exactly. Zrathiel's fingers flew over her console. It's as if the Indomitable's entire structure is alive, constantly adapting to damage. Irvax stared into the viewport where the colossal warship floated silently against the backdrop of distant stars. It was a monolith of power, unyielding, impenetrable, a ghost of steel that refused to die. Tactical Officer Zolthak broke the tension. Captain, weapon analysis is nearly complete. Their pulse cannons don't just fire energy, they distort gravity fields. Imagine the crushing force of a black hole concentrated in a beam. Entire enemy vessels could be crushed. From the inside out, Irvax exhaled through his mandibles a sharp, rattling breath. A weapon that tears ships apart at a subatomic level. This is warcraft on a level we have never faced. Zrathiel's display flickered, then shifted. I'm detecting multiple AI cores embedded within the Indomitable. They work in tandem, distributed intelligence. This redundancy means the ship can continue fighting even if parts of its systems are destroyed. Irvax's antennae twitched nervously. Redundancy is common among Vorthani warships, but this is different. It feels smarter. The captain's gaze narrowed. Are there any weak points, anything we can exploit? None, Zrathiel said, her voice steady but grim. The ship's defenses are layered and dynamic. Its shields regenerate faster than our sensors can track. Every time we detect damage, it's already patched. Irvax frowned. This is no longer a simple warship. It's a living fortress. But why? What drives humans to merge flesh with metal so completely? Zrathiel turned to the captain, her eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and fear. I cross-referenced the biological signatures with intercepted transmissions. It's not just technology. They are bonded to their ships through neural implants. Their minds control the ship like an extension of their bodies. Irvax's mandibles clicked softly. A symbiosis. Humans have turned warfare into a shared consciousness between pilot and machine. Suddenly the ship trembled lightly. An imperceptible shudder that barely registered on the sensors but sent ripples through the Velix's AI. Captain, Zrathiel said, the Indomitable is activating auxiliary systems. Its power output is spiking. Irvax's eyes darted to the tactical console. Are we detected? No. The ship's sensors have not locked on us. But it's aware. Preparing. An uneasy silence fell over the Velix's bridge. The alien crew exchanged glances, each feeling the cold whisper of uncertainty creeping in. Irvax spoke finally, voice low but firm. Maintain cloak. Do not engage. Our mission is reconnaissance, not combat. Yet beneath the calm order, the crew felt the weight of something far greater than any battle. They were witnessing the evolution of warfare itself. In the distant darkness, the Indomitable seemed to pulse with life, as if awakening from a long slumber. Energy nodes along its hull glowed brighter, shields rippling outward in an invisible dance of power. Zrathiel's voice broke the quiet. Captain, I've decrypted fragments of human war logs. Their battle tactics, they are ruthless, efficient. They don't fight to survive, they fight to destroy. Yervax leaned forward. Show me. Images flashed on the view screen. Grainy transmissions of battle, explosions blossoming like stars. The Indomitable weaving through enemy fleets, its pulse cannons slicing through alien ships like knives through silk. Then, a moment of sheer madness. The Indomitable performed a rift jump directly inside an enemy formation, detonating a gravitational pulse that shattered dozens of vessels simultaneously. The alien crew was stunned into silence. How can one ship do this? Zolthak whispered. Yervax clenched his claws. Because these humans don't just rely on technology, they rely on will, on raw, unyielding resolve. Sarathil's eyes darkened. Their neural interfaces mean the pilots feel every hit, every shock. They are warriors who share pain and triumph with their machines. This bond drives them beyond fear. Yervax closed his eyes briefly, then spoke with cold clarity. This is not a foe to underestimate. We must report back to the Council immediately. Suddenly, the Valix's AI sounded an alert. The Indomitable had shifted, no longer passive, now actively searching the area. Yervax's antennae twitched sharply. Prepare for immediate withdrawal. We've seen enough. As the Valix disengaged its cloak and began a rapid retreat, Yervax glanced back once more at the ghostly silhouette of the Indomitable, a living warship that had already rewritten the rules of engagement. The captain knew one thing with terrifying certainty. Humanity was no longer a race to be conquered. They were a force to be feared. The Valix's engines hummed as it slipped farther from the Indomitable, leaving behind the ghostly giant in Jupiter's orbit, but the weight of what they had seen clung to the crew like a shadow, thick and inescapable. Commander Zarathil stared intently at her console, the neural scan data still fresh in her mind. Captain, I've been analyzing the biological interface. Further, it's not simply a connection, they're fused, their nervous systems extend into the ship's hardware itself. Yervax's antennae twitched with intrigue and concern. Explain. Zarathil called up detailed schematics on the main view screen, a glowing web of delicate threads weaving human neurons directly into the ship's control arrays. See, here, the neural lattice implants enhance reflexes and cognitive functions by orders of magnitude. The crew's brains operate in perfect harmony with the ship's AI. She highlighted clusters of neural fibers extending like veins through the warship's hull. It's as if the ship is an extension of their bodies and their bodies are extensions of the ship. They think, react, and fight as one. Yervax absorbed the image with a slow nod, but unease crept into his voice. This means damage to the ship affects the crew on a biological level. They share pain with the machine, yet they continue to fight. That's the frightening part, Zarathil said softly. These humans seem to have rewritten the rules of warfare. Pain, injury, even death are not deterrents but catalysts. Their bond drives them beyond self-preservation. The captain paced the bridge. Our scouts have never encountered warriors like this. How do they endure the stress, the trauma? Suddenly, the Valix's AI chimed, bringing a set of decrypted transmissions to the bridge. Captain, Zarathil said, these are logs from previous battles, human reports. They describe what they call neural synchronization, a process that links the pilot's emotions and physical state to the ship's performance. When synchronized, reaction times double, awareness sharpens, and damage control becomes instinctive. Yervax frowned, absorbing the implications. It's not just technology, it's psychology. The humans fight with mind and soul fused to steel. The communications log crackled to life, a human voice echoing across the star-speckled void. When I'm synchronized with the Indomitable, I don't just control it, I become it. Every hit it takes, I feel. Every threat, it's as if it's mine. But I don't back down because if I fall, the ship falls. And if the ship falls, everything we've fought for falls with it. Yervax turned away from the screen. A level of commitment we can barely comprehend. His first officer, Katal, spoke up, her voice heavy with skepticism. But surely this puts their crews at enormous risk. Such a link must be devastating if severed. True, Srathil agreed, which means these pilots are likely bred, trained, and conditioned to withstand extreme physical and mental trauma. This is evolution in war, humans embracing suffering as armor. Irvax nodded slowly, his mind spinning. This bond is terrifying and brilliant. Their ships are not merely machines, they are living weapons. To kill a pilot, you must kill the ship. To kill the ship, you must kill the pilot. The captain's gaze hardened. We've never faced an enemy like this. Our usual tactics, hit and retreat, overwhelming force, will fail. Zarathil's fingers flew across her console. There's more. I found records of a specialized unit. Humans who undergo direct neural implantation from birth. They are wired for war in every sense. The Indomitable's crew may be elite beyond measure. Irvax's antennae twitched with something close to apprehension. We thought humans were reckless and disorganized, but this is discipline fused with defiance. Their soldiers are a symphony of pain and steel. Suddenly, the AI interrupted, alerting the bridge to a spike in the Indomitable's power output. It's powering up again, Zrathil said quietly. They know we're here. Irvax's mandibles clicked sharply. Ready the defense protocols. Keep cloak active. We are not to be detected. Yet. The Valix's bridge grew tense as the giant warship's systems shifted from passive monitoring to active defense. Lights flickered, energy fields shimmered faintly across the distant hull, and faint pulses radiated out into the void. Irvax's voice cut through the tension. The Indomitable is more than a ship. It is a living bastion of human will, wired to fight, wired to endure, wired to win. He looked around at his crew, their faces drawn tight with unease. This is no longer a scouting mission. This is a warning. In the silence that followed, the Valix began its slow retreat, leaving behind the massive warship that seemed to pulse with quiet menace. The captain knew that what they had seen was only the beginning, and that the galaxy's fate would hinge on humanity's mysterious fusion of flesh and steel. The Valix had barely escaped the Indomitable's vicinity when Irvax ordered the decrypted human battle logs to be displayed in full on the bridge's viewscreen. The alien crew gathered, tense and silent, as flickering images and raw data streamed through the ship's advanced processors. The footage began with a scene deep within the Proxima Centauri system, a chaotic battlefield thick with twisted wreckage and flashing energy blasts. The Indomitable moved like a specter through the chaos, a giant ghost of steel and fire. The Vortani watched as the warship's pulse cannons erupted in precise, devastating volleys. Ships twice its size shattered under the invisible force of gravity-warped energy beams. Entire enemy squadrons exploded in cascading chain reactions, their hulls torn apart from within. Commander Zrathil's antennae quivered. Their weapons aren't just powerful, they're surgical. The Indomitable cuts through enemy formations like a blade through silk. Irvax nodded grimly. But what I don't understand is their tactic. The images revealed something startling. Instead of retreating after a strike, the Indomitable charged forward, directly into the heart of enemy lines. The footage intensified. The human warship blinked out of sensor range, then reappeared inside the enemy fleet, detonating a rift jump with terrifying precision. The surrounding enemy vessels were caught in a sudden, crushing pulse. Hulls buckled. Systems failed catastrophically. Ships were literally torn apart from the inside. The Indomitable re-emerged from the rift jump unscathed, a silent predator leaving devastation in its wake. A shocked murmur spread across the Velix's bridge. How? Irvax whispered, disbelief etched in his tone. How do they dare to leap inside enemy lines like that? It's beyond strategy, Zrathil said softly. It's pure defiance. They fight not just with weapons, but with audacity and sacrifice. The captain's eyes narrowed. Their neural link means they feel every impact inside that rift jump. They don't just pilot ships, they become the weapon. The footage shifted to scenes of chaos aboard the Indomitable. Alarms, blaring, lights flickering, human soldiers moving with eerie precision and calm amidst destruction. Neural data overlays showed their brains synchronizing instantly with the ship's systems, reacting faster than any AI could. Their pilots aren't just soldiers, Zrathil explained. They are symbiotic warriors. Pain sharpens their reflexes, damage hones their focus. Yervax's voice dropped to a harsh growl. They're willing to endure anything to win. The logs ended abruptly, replaced by a live data feed showing the Indomitable emerging from a rift jump near a battered alien fleet. Look, the tactical officer pointed. They're preparing to engage again. Suddenly, the Indomitable fired a pulse cannon that warped space itself, striking the lead enemy vessel dead center. The alien ship exploded, sending a shockwave that disabled several others. Yervax leaned forward, lips tightening. Their technology is terrifying, but it's their mindset that's deadliest. Zrathil tapped a command and brought up intercepted alien intelligence reports. The Dominion's previous encounters with humans always underestimated their resilience. Now we see why. They don't just survive, they dominate through sheer will. The captain's antennae twitched in thought. If they fight like this on the front lines, what happens when the full human fleet mobilizes? A cold silence filled the room. We must rethink the invasion, Yervax said slowly. This is no longer a simple campaign. This is a war of minds, bodies, and machines. Zrathil's eyes darkened. And if we attack, we risk losing entire fleets to a species that views death as a weapon. Yervax's gaze hardened. Prepare a report for the Council. We must warn them. Humanity is unlike any enemy we have faced. The Velix's bridge grew tense as the crew absorbed the weight of the revelation. Captain, the AI interrupted, the Indomitable's power output is increasing. It is activating defensive protocols. Yervax's mandibles clicked sharply. Stay alert. Maintain distance. We are not to be detected. But the alien captain knew deep down the Indomitable was no longer just a warship. It was a harbinger of change. Its deadly dance across the stars was a warning written in fire and steel, a warning the Vorthani could no longer ignore. The Velix's hull vibrated faintly as it moved farther from the Indomitable. Yet inside the ship, tension was palpable, a heavy weight pressing on every member of the crew. Yervax stood silently, his many eyes fixed on the data streams flowing in from their scans. Captain, Zrathil said, her voice quieter than usual. There's more to these humans than brute strength and technology. Their neural lattice implants don't just sync with the ship. They connect with one another, across fleets. Yervax's antennae twitched sharply. Explain. Zrathil pulled up a complex visualization showing waves of neural signals, extending beyond a single vessel, linking multiple ships together in a synchronized network. They form a collective consciousness during battle. The pilots' minds are connected through quantum entanglement relays embedded in their ships. They share thoughts, tactics, even pain. A low murmur spread through the crew. This means the humans fight as a unified entity, not just as individual ships, Zrathil said. Their response times and coordination surpass any fleet we've encountered. Yervax's gaze darkened. A hive mind, but one forged by will and sacrifice, not biology alone. The captain paced the bridge, the implications rolling through his mind like a storm. Such synchronization would allow them to anticipate attacks, coordinate maneuvers instantly, and exploit weaknesses in real time. Zrathil nodded. It also means that destroying one ship could send a shock through their entire network, a shared pain that fuels their fury. Yervax's claws clenched. They have turned empathy into a weapon. Suddenly, a pulse of data rippled through the Velix's sensors, sharp, focused, and unlike anything the Vorthani had ever recorded. Captain, incoming transmission, Zrathil said, frowning. Unencrypted. It's a broadcast coming from the Indomitable. Yervax raised an eyebrow. They know we're here. Play it. The bridge fell silent as a human voice filled the room, clear, calm, and resolute. To any who listen, we are not your enemies unless you make us so. We are defenders of our home, bound by blood and steel. Our warship is more than a machine. It is our will made manifest. We do not seek conquest, only survival. To those who threaten us, know this. We will not yield. We will not falter. We will endure. The message ended. Yervax stared at the blank view screen for a long moment. They offer peace, but it feels like a challenge. Zarathil tapped her console thoughtfully. This transmission may be a test. A way to gauge our response, our intentions. The captain nodded slowly. We have one choice. Report everything. To the Council. Humanity is unlike any threat we have faced, and we must reconsider our approach. The Velix's AI chimed, alerting to another rise in the Indomitable's power levels. Yervax's mandibles clicked sharply. Stay sharp. This is only the beginning. As the scout ship turned away, the giant warship remained. A sentinel of human defiance and ingenuity. Its pulse cannons glowed faintly, a promise etched in light and gravity. In the cold expanse of space, a storm was gathering, and the first ripple had already reached them. Back aboard the Velix, the atmosphere was taut with urgency. Yervax had convened an emergency briefing with his senior officers. The council awaited their report, and the gravity of their findings weighed heavily on everyone. We underestimated humanity, Yervax began, voice steady but grave. They are not simply fighting with weapons. They fight with their very minds bonded to their ships and each other in ways we have yet to fully comprehend. Commander Zarathil stepped forward. Our scans reveal that the Indomitable is the flagship of a broader strategy. Their fleets operate as extensions of a collective neural network. Destroying one ship will only strengthen the other's resolve. The tactical officer Katal tapped her datapad. Their weaponry is devastating. Gravity pulse cannons can disintegrate multiple vessels from a distance. Shield regeneration and hull self-repair make sustained assault almost impossible. Yervax's many eyes swept the room. They embody what they call the synthesis of will. Their ships and crews are fused, pain felt by one echoes through all. This shared consciousness drives them to feats of endurance we cannot match. A junior officer interrupted hesitantly. Captain, what are our options? To attack such a fleet is to invite annihilation. Yervax's mandibles clicked with resolve. We must adapt. Our usual tactics will not suffice. We need new strategies, ways to disrupt their neural synchronization and sever their collective link. Zarathil nodded. I'm researching electromagnetic pulse variants and quantum signal jammers. If we can isolate individual ships mentally, we might break their unity. The captain paused, then spoke slowly. We must also consider diplomacy. This message from the Indomitable, though defiant, opens a narrow door. Perhaps there is a way to avoid total war. Katal frowned. Do you think they would negotiate? They sound prepared for war. Yervax's antennae flicked. Perhaps, but peace can sometimes be forged through understanding. Meanwhile, miles away on the Indomitable, Captain Mara Chen stared out at the approaching Vorthani vessels. Her ship thrummed beneath her, alive with neural feedback, a constant hum of pain, hope, and unyielding will. Her crew was wired in tightly, their minds linked in a symphony of survival. Each pilot bore the scars of battles fought and won, their endurance pushed beyond limits. They knew the enemy was closing in, but the human spirit refused to bend. Chen touched her neural interface, feeling the ship's heartbeat merge with her. We will show them what it means to be human, she whispered. Back on the Velix, Yervax watched the stars. This war will not be won by weapons alone. It will be a siege of wills. He turned to his officers. Prepare our fleet. We may not have to fight, but if we do, we must be ready. The stars held their breath, waiting, and the warship, the living fortress, stood ready. The silence of space was shattered by the distant hum of engines as the Vorthani fleet advanced cautiously toward the Indomitable. Yervax stood on the bridge of the Velix, watching every flicker of the enemy warship's pulse like a predator, studying its prey. This is the moment we test our theory, he said quietly, eyes narrowing. If we disrupt their neural network, we might turn their greatest strength into weakness. Commander Zrathil adjusted her console, activating the first stage of their plan. Deploying quantum signal jammers in a phased array. The goal? To create interference in their entangled communication channels. Across the void, the Indomitable's glowing hull seemed to pulse faster, as if sensing the tightening noose. Inside the warship, Captain Mara Chen felt the first tremors. Faint, ripples in the neural link that bound her crew and their ship. Pain flickered across her consciousness like distant thunder. She clenched her jaw, focusing on the bond with her crew. "Hold steady," she whispered into the shared mind stream. "We've faced worse." But the interference grew. Neural signals faltered, reflexes slowed. The seamless unity that had defined their combat style began to fracture. On the Valix, Irvax observed the disruptions with cautious satisfaction. Their synchronization is weakening. Now is the time. Zrathil's fingers danced over the controls, initiating targeted electromagnetic pulses, aiming for key neural relay nodes within their systems. The Indomitable shuddered, its living hull rippling under the assault. Crew members gasped as neural feedback surged, waves of pain and disorientation sweeping through the shared consciousness. Yet even as the Indomitable faltered, its pilots fought on with desperate resolve. Captain Chen's voice rang clear, anchoring the crew in the chaos. "We endure, we adapt, we overcome." With grim determination, the human crew began to reroute neural pathways, bypassing damaged circuits. The ship's AI, intimately linked with its pilots, responded with adaptive countermeasures, healing ruptures in the mind-machine interface. The Vorthani fleet braced for a counterattack, but instead, a different signal emerged. A human transmission, raw and unfiltered. "You cannot break what is born of sacrifice and defiance. Our will is steel. Our minds are fire. You may silence us temporarily, but the spark will ignite again." Shirvek stared at the broadcast, a new respect dawning. "These humans don't just endure pain, they weaponize it." Zrathil's voice was steady, but urgent. "We must prepare for their next move. They will retaliate." Suddenly, the Indomitable accelerated, warping space with a rift jump directly into the heart of the Vorthani formation. Pulse cannons flared, gravity waves rippling outward, tearing through ships with surgical precision. The Valix shook violently as debris and energy blasts filled the void. Irvax barked orders. "Defensive maneuvers! Deploy countermeasures!" The battle erupted into chaos. Ships spun, shields flickered, and the very fabric of space seemed to convulse under the Indomitable's assault. Yet amidst the fury, the Vorthani commanders adapted, deploying new formations, exploiting gaps in the human fleet's network weakened by their own strain. The fight became a deadly dance, a contest of wills, reflexes, and indomitable spirit. In the midst of it, Captain Chen's voice rang out over the neural link. "We are one, we are many, we will not fall." The warship pulsed with renewed vigor, its systems humming a defiant anthem. Irvax knew this was far from over. But for the first time, he understood something vital. This war was not just about ships and weapons. It was a crucible of spirit. And, in that crucible, humanity burned brighter than any star. The battlefield in the void was a twisted ballet of destruction and resolve. The Indomitable blazed like a star forged in war, every pulse of its weapons a declaration of defiance. Irvax gripped the command rail aboard the Velix, his many eyes locked on the chaos. Despite the Vorthani's technological might and strategic precision, humanity's unity, a fusion of flesh and steel, had proven to be an unbreakable fortress. "Captain," Zrathil reported, "our attempts to sever their neural links have failed. Instead, they grow stronger, adapting faster than we can disrupt." Irvax's mandibles clicked sharply. "Then we must change our approach." He activated the communication array, sending a message to the Indomitable, not as a threat, but a challenge. "We recognize your strength. This war need not end in mutual destruction. Let us find a path to understanding or prepare for the cost of continued conflict." Moments passed, The only response was the distant roar of pulse cannons and the tremor of ships under fire. Then, unexpectedly, the Indomitable slowed. Captain Mara Chen's voice, calm but resolute, echoed through the Vorthani comm channels. You have seen our strength, our will, our sacrifice. But strength is not just power. It is the courage to seek peace when the war is done. We accept your challenge. Yervax felt a flicker of something unfamiliar. Respect. Over the following hours, the two fleets disengaged, space between them, crackling with tension but devoid of immediate violence. Negotiators prepared to meet, carrying the hopes and fears of two civilizations. Back on the Indomitable, Mara Chen removed her neural interface. Exhaustion etched on her face. The symbiosis that had been their greatest weapon was also their greatest burden. Pain, sacrifice, and unyielding resolve had forged them into warriors. But the cost was immense. She looked out the viewport, stars shimmering like distant promises. We fight because we must, she whispered. But we survive because we believe in something greater than war. On the Valix, Yervax reflected on what they had witnessed. The relentless human spirit, the fusion of mind and machine, the will to endure beyond pain and fear. Perhaps, he thought, the greatest weapon is not technology, but the unbreakable ember of defiance burning within. As the two fleets prepared to negotiate, the galaxy held its breath. For in the heart of conflict, humanity had revealed its greatest truth, that even against impossible odds, the will to live and to protect could reshape the stars themselves.